Hey everybody, welcome back to the Quantum Show. And want to say hi to everybody in the chat. Lynn and Frank are here first. Booyah. Y'all may want to participate fully in the panel today. I know you will, Lynn. Frank, you may want to also, because had some recent things happen and need to go over it just in case. If it happens to me, it could happen to anybody, right? But I want to go over for like the first little bit, talking about just the past few days. Everything is crammed right in a few days. Let me tell you, every time. So first, first, let me do sound check, please. Let me know if you can hear me. Hey, Renee. Sound check, please. Giving it time. Need to know, can you hear me? Do you hear the words coming out of my mouth? So put in the chat, yes, I can hear you. Good. 5x5, something, please. Alrighty then. Joe, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the chat. All right, sound is good. Let me get that down there. Now, yeah. Car update, right? Red car. They gave me a list of stuff that they found wrong. But I asked for this, right? Because this is pothole damage. All right, yeah. I don't know where they get off on these prices, but I'm not going to go over the prices. Outer tie rod ends on one side, okay? Oh, no, excuse me. Rack and pinion steering assembly. Big job, right? Well, not really. Not even really. Not really that big job. It's just not. I looked at it and I'm like, this is workable. But anyway, rack and pinion steering, it is damaged, but it's not irreparable. Okay. Alignment, of course. Control arm, but it doesn't need the control. It needs the lower control arm. Yeah, that's what I said. Control arm. Okay. I can deal with it. I can hang without it. Stabilizer bushing. Okay. That's to go with the control arm with the stabilizer, the anti-sway bar, right? CV joint. That's probably definitely going to need it, but I don't know. It's to be determined. Wheel bearing. Okay. Grand total. Put your guesses in the chat. How much is this corporate place charging me for those jobs? What do you think? Come on now. Joe, I don't know what you mean TPU, right? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean. They're not serviceable. They do not have oil fittings, so they have to be replaced. And they're charging way too much for it. But I asked them because this is pothole damage. The state was going to pay, right? All that. Oh, Diane, I wish. Also, I wish. I'm going to put this in there. I'm not going to go over the original prices. Yeah, and this is, wait. This is, I'm going to put it up on screen, right? No, because you've got to get the bushings. The tie rod ends, dude? Really? There we go. That is the number they gave me. I got it on paper. That is the number. Yeah, no, Diane, you're a little low, right? Yeah. And see, here's my deal. At that price, I am not going to get this guy. They refused service. They said, we're not going to look at this. We're not going to fix this in less than an hour. They didn't give it too much. They didn't say what could they do. They just decided to throw all these parts at it. See, everything that's broken, it needs doing. And I'm like, hold on. Okay. Now, okay, let me go over what all they said, right? All right. Outer tie rod and rack and pinion. The outer tie rod, yes, that could be replaced. That's fairly easy. All these parts, by the way, are $700 for everything, including back struts and including struts. For all these parts are $700 on Amazon from Detroit Axle. No, this is, I don't know where they're probably going to the dealership, and that's a wrong thing to do. But okay, outer tie rod in, yes. Rack and pinion, I disagree. The boots are off. The boots are sealed and they stretch, right? As you turn the wheel, the bar goes back and forth. The boots have come off of the main assembly. Now, the lubrication is still there because this is not oil, it's grease. It's okay. You could put some more on there and it'll move itself around once you seal the boots back. And it's like clamps that go over the boots. Yeah, it's 20 years old, so it probably needs to be replaced, but it can ride for a little while. And that's something on the front end that you can do without disassembling everything, right? So I think I'm going to let that one ride, and I'm going to fix the boots, reattach the boots, and put some more grease in there. All right. Control arm with ball joint. Ball joint. Yeah. Needs ball joint. I mean, it's in the knuckle. It's the ball joint. Okay. It's in the knuckle. It holds everything together. The bush, they're not serviceable. On this other Topaz, it has oil fittings. I can go in there with an oil gun and grease them up. They're $20 on Amazon. Going to do that, by the way. Okay, sway bar link kit. Only because it's rotted. It is $12 on Amazon. Okay, and that's not the cheap one. The cheap one is like $4. So that's a nice one. Get here. A CV joint to be determined. Okay, because all I could hear was the wheel bearing. It's like a grinding noise. Okay, total all the time grinding noise, and it's definitely for sure the wheel bearing. CV joint to be determined after the wheel bearing is fixed. So if it gets put back together with a bad CV joint, I'll just have to pay for it to be done again. Front wheel bearing, yeah, that's what I said. Okay, so I think that I'm going to let some of these things, I'm going to let them ride. Now, but check it out, at this price point, okay? A lot of people would say the car is 20 years old, and a lot of people did say, okay, it's not worth fixing. Don't do it. But this is not engraved in stone, okay? Some things can let it ride for a little bit. Some things don't need replacing, but they need readjusting. I can do that. The boots on the thing, that's the most expensive part on it. It's $1,000. And by the way, the part is like less than $200. That is something I can do. Okay. I can actually do that one. And, but I'm not looking at the chat yet, but at that price point, if the state says, okay, we accept this, here's a check, I will take that $3,000 and I will go to another place, right? They refuse service. I had to talk them into giving me that estimate. I'll go to this other place. That's car. I took it there today. Shout out to Terry's Automotive and see what they can get done for $3,000, replacing all the parts, except for the steering, the rack and pinion, because it's not dead yet, right? Clean it up, grease it up, seal it up. It'll be good to go for a while now. So I'm going to see because the parts, all of them are around about $700 to buy all the parts, just to get parts in hand. Now that doesn't include labor. I know I am not going to cheap out on labor. right? So it's hard to argue. Let me tell you, when you get a mechanic that does a subpar job, but you pay above par pricing, it's hard to get that guy. First, you don't want to deal with him no more. I didn't. And then he thinks he did a great job, but he didn't. But I was like, what? And I couldn't talk to this guy. He refused to talk to me. He said, email me. I'll talk to you through email. I'm like, okay, it's hard for me to get over to that shop. Talk about the topaz, right? And he wouldn't elaborate on stuff. He just said, okay, it had a bad connection. He said it had a bad starter. I'm like, I just put a brand new starter in that. No, it's not a bad starter. Check the connections. It was a connection. Okay. And it wouldn't shift. I'm like, it was shifting when I brought it to you. The mechanic he assigned to it, I don't need to be going over this again, but they left the shifter throttle linkage off. It was gone. Two springs, two good sized springs, but two springs. And it wouldn't down throttle. It stayed gunned. I almost hit somebody. And then it wouldn't shift out of first gear because it didn't have the pull for it. And I'm like, why didn't you notice this? Because he didn't check behind his contracted mechanic. And well, I'm going to see what this other place has. They're a lot bigger operation and a lot more reputable, really. 2 people have told me to go to this place. So I'm doing that. And if my budget is going to be $3,000 right now, got to have the wheel bearing, got to seal the thing up, maybe need a CV joint. The rest of it, it can ride a little while. And so that's that. And that made the day interesting to begin with. Okay. Yeah, Bronkline. Okay, now I'm looking at the chat. All right, let's see here. Yeah, it's just the connection. I'm looking at Nathan. I look all fuzzy. That's the connection. That is the connection I have to deal with. So I may look fuzzy. That's all I got. Let's see here now. I'm looking. Hi, everybody. Tim, hey, what's up? Bronklander RC has come on in. Good, Diane Boss. Let's see. Bronk is saying a rack and pinion rebuild kit is surprisingly easy. The whole rack and pinion is easy. I looked at it and it was easy. The last one I rebuilt was in an X-Tray 12 Jaguar, and it took more time to pull it out and reinstall it than it took to put new guts and seals in it. I'm not going to, if it's not damaged, those things are bulletproof. Really, they're really tough. And it needs the boots reattached. That's all. Put some more grease in there just to make sure. Boots reattached. I'm calling it done. Right. And it's cheap. Yeah, it is cheap. The part is $160 from Detroit Axle. No, they're not the greatest in the world, but I don't need the greatest in the world. This is, it's not a Jaguar, right? So, yeah, if I could DIY it. Well, I don't have a lift. I don't have pneumatic tools. I don't have a way to press in and out a wheel bearing, right? A lot of the other stuff I do have tools for or can get them. They're all hand tools. But yeah. And I don't have the tools to rebuild the front end completely. I can replace a part here and there and not wheel bearing. Oh man, my wheel bearing, this is the tire. It's doing this. It's doing this on the bearing, right? Not good. Not good. It's a better representation. It was like that. And it's also up and down. I'm like, holy cow. Hey, Woo Riders. So, Yeah, Bronklander saying, oh, come on now. Oh, good. Yeah, they're almost foolproof. Rack and Pinion is the best steering system they make. Yep, I agree. That worm gear Chevy's got? No. No. And it's a unit that comes off completely. It's not integrated like a lot of things are. And I'm really happy about that. So that's what's up with the car. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna rent me a hydraulic press, a big one for and yeah, AutoZone will rent tools. However, I really don't know what I'm doing with a lot of this stuff, and what I did know is 25 years old. So I'm gonna have to. I don't mind. I got a job. I'm gonna pay for it. It's fine. Hmm. So that's that car, and the Topaz. I'm going to the dealership to get a thermostat. I know it sounds dumb, but it's sticking. And plus the exhaust is plugged up and it's got the EGR pipe going from the catalytic converter up in there. I can't get to it very easy. So I give myself like an hour to work on stuff. Replacing the entire exhaust on that, an hour if I move slow, because there's no over the humps or anything. It's a straight, well, it's a flat laying pipe. You hang it up, you I'm gonna clamp it all together and bolt it together. But the EGR pipe, it's tough steel, so I don't have anything to cut it with. I should probably buy myself an angle grinder, like a portable something, because I got one cut to make and plug it off. Oh, I saw one the other day, an 84 Escort. I saw one the other day. It was like, oh my God, you came here from the past. Hey, Aussie, welcome back. Let's see. Yeah, I need to do that too. I need to do that too. Because it's got a newer radiator, newer than the rest of the car. And that's where I'm at with that. And it needs a CV joint. The CV joint boots are gone on one side, on the passenger side. So that's where that car is. Otherwise, I could drive it right now. But the CV joint, see, here's the thing. It was driven for 30 years at about 25 miles an hour. That's low impact driving, right? Not very far, not very fast. Low impact driving. Things had a chance to dry rot. The boots of the CV dry rotted. The joints are still good. I looked at the boot replacements. I don't think they'll work. And plus, it is 30 years old. So I don't want to chance it. Get another one. They're $55 to buy on Amazon. And they're $150 to buy from the parts shop. Hopefully, these guys, well, I can't do a freaking CV joint either because I don't have that. I don't have that ability to change a CV joint because there's a process. I never did it right, and yeah, it does. Something feels good about being able to fix a car from your era. I agree. I miss my '77 Mustang. That's my era right there. I miss that one. But that is what's up with the cars. The Mercury, the Grand Marquis, is doing fine. I'm leaving it stock for now. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, especially with all these repairs looming. So, but I really want to get my Hyundai back going. Really do. Uh, the thing about the lower control arm on the Hyundai, the sway bar is mounted to it. The sway bar ripped off. That's why it has to be replaced. And let me tell you, the manufacturing from literally 20 years ago is not the same as the one from today. So if I put a newly manufactured matching part, it's not going to match the other side. So I got to get both. You know, So I will wait on that. I waited this long. I can wait a little longer. Okay. Storm, clean the boot well and hose it down with liquid Flex Seal. What boot? Oh, you mean the existing boots? Okay. I don't trust to do that on a 30-year-old car, right? On the what you call it? On the Hyundai, however, it's 20 years old. The rubber is still there. Some of it might be ripped, but I'm not sure. I can't tell. I have to look over there. So I'm not sure if I trust it, but that's a good idea. Flex Seal, that's a good idea. I might check that out. And put some kind of don't they have like a screen or something you wrap around it first and you not something else. Okay, well, I may do something. I may do that. And yeah, the front ends are fragile compared to other cars, right? The front ends are fragile. The wheels are smaller, narrower. The metal is thinner. But the math is on, so it doesn't have bump steering and things like that. So, another funny thing is, this is an 04, and this is the last year they made that body style of the family of cars. So every Elantra, Accent, Santa Fe, Kia, and some Toyotas have all the same parts. Parts are everywhere. So getting parts is not a problem. It's putting them on. And all the shops that could possibly be trustworthy require that you buy parts through them. And I'm like, okay, well, what about a complete rebuild kit? That's where I'm at in the emails. And I just recently emailed them and say, hey, let's do this a little bit at a time. Let's not do everything. Let's do a little bit. And like seal the boots, check the CV joint, and wheel bearing for now. For now. We'll see what happens there. But Frank, what you said is an interesting idea for both of them, really, because yeah, I can see that. We'll see what happens. They're close. Everybody's close on the weekends, so I gotta wait till next week. So it'll be Thursday. All right. Next thing, I made a couple of shorts, right? Hopefully you guys saw them. I was driving down Charlotte. I was going to a grocery store. And Charlotte is like Montana Avenue, one of the calmer parts of Montana Avenue in El Paso. And but it's a busy street. It's a busy street. A woman runs out of the woods saying, stop, call 911. I'm like, whoa, what, why, what's going on? And I'm looking around, there's nobody else there, right? I'm like, hold on. I pull over, lights, hazards, and I'm like, what are you talking about? She's a little bit frantic, okay? And she goes, there's a black box with an antenna on it over here, and I don't know what it is. I was like, oh, shielding. I wasn't. I got infected with excitement over this and fear. Fear is a big red button. Okay. Yeah, found a box. No, love be love. Hey, welcome back, love be love. No, not Charlotte, North Carolina. Charlotte Pike, Charlotte Avenue in Tennessee, in Nashville. Charlotte, North Carolina, different Charlotte. So I'm like, hey, let me see what you're talking about. And she goes, come into the woods with me, stranger. And I'm like, oh my God, it's the beginning of a horror movie. She's a pretty girl. She does look a little rough. Apparently she's homeless, but she's a pretty girl saying, come into the woods with me, please, Mr. Stranger. I need your help. I'm like, Oh man. So I was watching. I gave her that look like, uh, if it's you and me and anybody, right? I was thinking, I gave her that warning look because invite a stranger, pretty girl, invite a stranger into the woods. That's a horror movie. So I shut the car off, and I'm on the side of the road. She crosses the busy road to get to me, right? She ran in front of my car. So I had no chance but to stop. And I go over, and it's just like 15 feet off the road, and I find like a 25 gallon, 15 gallon, 20 gallon metal box. It's got a little bit of where the paint did not stick. It's blue. It's got some kind of logo. Couldn't read. I should have taken pictures. I'm sorry. I wanted to. Something told me take pictures, but then something else told me don't take pictures. So I didn't. I was more worried about, am I about to get jumped, and then worry about taking pictures at the time. I should have gone back though. But it had an antenna on it. And I was like, that's a little, and it looks like a hack job. It does not look issued. It didn't look like one of them traffic boxes. It wasn't. However, I did pass a sign that says private property, no trespassing. And I noticed it was chained to a tree. It was intentionally covered up with branches so you couldn't see it from the street. And I was like, okay. And I describe it. She's got 911 on the phone. She gives it back to me. I describe it. It looks hinky because it is not an issued. It's a spray painted toolbox from some store, and I'm not touching it. I'm not going to try to open it. And I was like, okay. And she goes, thank you. And I was like, the lady said, get away from the box. She goes, I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, whatever, you do you. And I start to walk away, and she goes, thank you. My name's Katie. I'm like, I'm Nathan. See ya. And as I'm walking out, I see a cable on the ground, but I didn't look at it. Right? I didn't investigate. Her frantic emotions were still in my head. So yeah, shielding. I get out there about 10 minutes. About 10 minutes. I took a video on the road while I was waiting for the police. Right? And the police show up, and he's like, how do you know her? I don't. She flagged me down. What are you doing here? She flagged me down. What is she doing here? I don't know. I don't know this person. She just wanted to call the police, and I thought I was going to get jumped, but there ain't nobody else out there. So he goes, okay. And he looks across the road. He's like, all right, the box is about right there. And he goes, and it's strung up to that solar panel. I was like, I did not see a solar panel. That was the wire. So it's a permanent emplacement, and it's on private property. It was covered up, and the branches were not new. Okay, they're evergreen branches. So the branches were not new. They had been there a while. So I'm like, oh boy, this is legit. This is legit somebody's device. I don't know what it would be. It didn't have any markings, numbers, or indication of what it would do. But it was being charged with solar power, and it was in communication because of an antenna. Antenna means communication. I didn't see holes or any cameras or anything like that, but I don't know. I didn't stick around. I looked at it, told him, and the guy come up, and I was like, can I go? Yeah. So I took off. But I got to thinking about it, and maybe I'm thinking too much, and maybe I need to mind my own business more. However, I live by this. If something is put in your path, that was for you. You were supposed to do something. What it is to be determined, right? Something is put in your, and you can't be any more in a person's path when they run out in front of your car. That's literally, physically, and quantum speak in your path. So Yeah. So I told somebody about it, and he was like, "You need to learn to mind your own business." I would have drove away. I would have driven away. I'm like, "Yeah, dude." And this is the Christian dude, Martin, that I tell you all about. By the way, Martin's awesome. It's good that we can talk to each other without like spitefulness or judgment, and I really appreciate that. And he was okay, good deal. Picture cleared up. Fox Hunt box. Oh, Fox Hunt box. Maybe, possibly. That is where you track a signal, right? Fox Hunt. Is that what that is? Where you tracking a signal, a weak signal? I don't know. But it had a solar panel, and I was like, but Martin was like, you think about it too much, and you need to get out of there. He's 20 something. Okay. He doesn't have the experience of 20 extra years like I do. And I've learned that I refuse fear and I don't run away. And plus, this was a skinny redheaded girl, maybe at 20 something, right? Coming out of the woods, running in front of a car. Not much of a threat there. The threat was when I went into the woods with her, but it wasn't very far. I could see the car, I could see the street, and I could see it was what it was. So that was a kind of a moment. I don't know. Did I save her? Did she save me? Was I supposed to have something happen and she was a delay? I don't know. There's so many things it could be, right? Was somebody after her, and since I was around, they didn't go after her? Was she after somebody? And since I was there, she decided to try. It's so much, right? So much. So, Diane, there was no fence. I know invisible fence, right? Could be to keep the dogs in the yard. There was no yard. This was woods, and this thing was on a piece of rock that was next to a tree. And I thought about that too, but it's not traversable property. It's like thick woods right there, and it only gets thicker as you go in. I thought about that too, but that's not what it was. Yeah, I know that part does not add up. Wanting to show me and being too scared and being scared to be around it. I thought about it. I was like, why did you want me to come in the woods? Right? Because it's a jungle out there, even in the forest. Yeah, it doesn't add up. You're absolutely right, Pinky. Okay. She's scared of it, but she didn't want to leave it. And she wanted me to go in there and look at it. I checked it out, right? There was nobody else there. She was by herself. And it was, I don't know, somebody smacked the back of my head and says, do not stay here. Go. So I did. I took off. Yeah, some frequencies affect people with fear. Yeah, I think this was, I don't know, a host for Wi-Fi cameras or trail cams or something, because it was right near the VFW. Of course, it could have been the CIA because it was right near the VFW. And it could have been, I don't think it was a broadcast thing. It might have been a receiving antenna. Little rubber antenna. That's all. Little rubber antenna, about yeah big. But could have been the CIA. I didn't stick around to find out because it was by the VFW. VFW veterans, right? And we are a watched group. Yeah. If you're here, there's a feature on YouTube happening. When you say the words, the little buttons light up. Does that happen on YouTube on y'all's end? Because I haven't checked. Every time someone says, hit like and subscribe, the little buttons light up. So hit like and subscribe if you hear your quantum. Like those buttons up, people. The buttons like turn like it's color change LED. The buttons subscribe. The subscribe button turns on and it just glitters and glows. Right? It was crazy. Yeah, I did. I did. I did. The cops went to check it, but I was on my way somewhere and I had a time limit, so I had to get out of there. I was working on being late. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it could have been like that. So that's what happened with her. Now we're 35 minutes through the first hour or the first part, and this is the do not cross, right? The do not cross, do not go. I'm not saying why I'm saying this. I'm just saying I'm saying it. Do not cross. These are practices that you do not want to do at all. And these are, I'm talking, now when you hear what I'm talking about, right? I got a list and I've got some like honorable mentions and things to actually watch out for, but it's not really up to you. These things, you do them and you can really screw it up. Let me say that again. When you do them, there is no good outcome. Okay. Now, I'm not talking about, this is the one time I will talk about something I do not have personal experience with. And this is number one, demonology. Do not go there. Okay. We've talked about this briefly. Do not go there. You're not getting into it, it's getting into you, right? You think you're interested? Oh, you will be. And it's fast track to possession, okay? And schizophrenia if you can't handle being possessed. I've seen that happen. Of course, that's not medically provable. None of this stuff is, okay? But demonology is where you try to identify with the bad guys. It takes a thief mentality. Cannot do that with demonology. Cannot, okay? Because if you do, no, you can, but it doesn't work. If you do, that energy latches onto you. Whatever you want to say about it, right? Do not practice this thing, demonology. Do not, because it consumes you. It's very familiar. Now, it's very like being obsessed with serial killers, except these things are spiritual. Do not. Do not. Here's what you need to know. White light, holy items, and the power of God, right? That's what you need to know. You don't need to know names. You don't need to know dates, numbers, legions, whatever. None of that crap matters. You don't need to know someone's secret Achilles heel, right? You don't need any of that. Those are the things you need. White light, some kind of holy item, crucifix works. It doesn't matter what your religion is. It's somebody's religion, and that thing's been empowered. It means something. And the person it represents will take notice. All right. And the power of God, the voice of God, right? Do not, this consumes you and you don't even know it. Okay. I've seen people get into demonology, and before they know it, they're practicing demon summoning and stuff like that. Oh man, they try. All right. This is the one show that I will talk about this stuff. I'm probably not going to talk about this again. Okay. So, not as a topic, but it needs to be talked about at least one time as the headline. But yeah, you don't get into demonology. Demonology gets into you. You become obsessed because it's so fascinating. And it is. Everything has an answer. Everything has a key or a match or an antithesis, right? Everything has an opposite. It's so fascinating. You think you can get into it and you have a handle on it. You cannot. The best demonologists, okay? And I don't even know if those words work with each other, right? I mean, the people who are the most studied are the most unhinged, right? And the most susceptible to those energies that encompass the whole field of demonology. Do not do that, okay? And though you can come back from it, it's not easy. You can come back from it. And that leads me into the next thing. You cannot come back from this. I mean, necromancy. I'm talking real physical control over a spiritual entity through force, through trauma. Necromancy is the one thing that will leave a dark mark on you in every dimension, okay? Do not. It will follow you. It will haunt you. Things will haunt you. You know how people say, well, when you do a spell, you put a light up for things to see you. Well, this is a dark light, and the dark things will come after you, okay? Because when you cross that boundary, that is the ultimate boundary in this. I don't go near it, right? Now, there are some spells, it got brought up, cemetery dirt, not necromancy, okay? You're not trying to control anyone. If you're trying to send a message, and there's a lot of intention that needs to be clarified. So if you are trying to hold a spirit, and I've seen somebody do this, right, and they didn't know what they were doing, but 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work, right? However, that 10%, this person has a dark mark on them now. And I'm not going anywhere near them because so many dark things follow this person. And I'm not going, and he is angry, bitter, jealous, all the dark emotions. He's all of that, right? Abusive, neglectful, selfish, all those things. He's all those things. And I mean, I saw this firsthand. And it is ruining his life. But it's just poetic that it's keep on going, right? Do not mess with the afterlife. Don't try to control it. Don't try to get answers from a spirit, okay? Stay away. General practice, stay away from Ouija boards. Because let me tell you, you don't know what you're wanting, first of all. You don't know what you want. And when you don't know what you want and your attention is there, something can use that, because now you're turning on that light where they can find you, and it's unbiased. You don't say, you don't know what you're doing. There's ceremonial magic that can handle that while you're doing it. Incantations, they can work. Boundaries, they can work. Preventative measures, there are a bunch of them. And especially don't try to bind anything. Do not try to bind any kind of spirit, because you're asking for reality to come and kick your ass. Okay? Reality will do that. And they call it bad luck, but it's really reality coming to make you pay for what you've done, as far as I know, right? Now, don't do nothing with body parts. Don't do nothing with pieces of dead people, okay? Trapping a spirit. Do not. This is straight to dark mark, and it will follow you through incarnations, okay? It will follow you through your incarnations, because this is the kind of stuff that goes all up and down the spiritual spectrum, and you heard it here, okay? Do not cross that line. You will never be the same person. It will change you. Every fiber of you will change. You think you're getting something out of it. You get to feeling good. You get some revenge on somebody. You're going to be paying for that for lifetimes. Do not. Okay. Okay. And that is, I mean, those two are the biggies, right? Those are the biggest ones I've got on this list. The rest of this stuff, not so bad. Not nowhere near as bad as those guys. Okay. But improperly, okay. I wrote down here messing with Lilith. I love Lilith. We're good. I keep my distance from her with respect. Improperly worshiping Lilith, not doing it right, because she has high standards, people. Okay. She has some high standards and she has expectations. She will hook you right up if you do right. I don't know enough about it to talk much, but I've seen the effects of Lilith on a household. And when Lilith nopes out on you, you done screwed up. Okay. When you're doing devotionals and nature comes in and destroys that area, you did something wrong. You're not living up to your potential that she expects of you, right? This is something I saw, okay? And you don't get involved if you're not up to it, right? Because she has behavioral standards, decorum standards, gifting standards. She has all that. And if you do not meet expectations, the best she's going to do is ignore you. That's the best she's going to do. And the worst, blow the house down. People have died when they didn't properly pay homage to Lilith. I don't mean the people. I don't mean, be very respectful. Every time I mention and talk about Lilith, I say a little internal prayer. And I know this stuff works. I know my circuits are turned on. So I'm bragging on her, right? Okay. Now, the next one is, where am I at? We got a few more minutes. Okay. The next one is, I'm going to zip through these so we can not go too far over. Oh, we got 13 minutes, 14 minutes. Okay. The followers of Santa Muerta, not Santa Muerta herself. She's okay. She's okay. She's a Catholic saint, canonized by the people, which is amazing, and recognized. Maybe not officially, but they know she's out there. But it's not Santa Muerta. It's the followers. The followers of Santa Muerta. You got to watch out for them. If you claim Santa Muerta as yours, they'll most likely leave you alone. But you gotta play the part, and she seems to appreciate that. So, yeah, Santa Muerta is Saint Death in Mexico, and I'm gonna talk about it just briefly. Right now, the followers are the problem. She's cool. She really is cool. She's all right. She doesn't want to hurt anybody. She wants to help people, and she's a saint. Santa Muerta. She wants to help people. She is of the light. However, you got to understand a little bit of the history. She was the one that helps the criminals because goddess of desperation and death, right? And of course, everlasting life. I think all the saints are that way, right? But desperation and death. And throw some information at me if I'm missing something. Put it over here. Put it in a comment because I would like to know more. But like I said, these are do not cross. I can look up Santa Muerta safely, but I can't tell anybody about it because if their followers find out, they're going to want to make me do something. And I'm not into that, right? Now, another practice that now Santa Muerta, you can come back from the followers. Santa Muerta, yeah, she's awesome. She's great. It's the followers, the Church of Santa Muerta. Okay. But the next thing I want to talk about, and I learned this, is channeling. Okay. I'm talking about the kind where you give up control of your physical self or mental self to something else. You don't want to do that. When you unlock that door, it stays unlocked unless you do some really serious, and I know some people have had to do that really serious damage control. And it wasn't really damage control. It's like, oh my God, the door is unlocked. You have to go and lock that door. But it's very important that you lock that door correctly, right? Because once it's open, other things can come in. You can put as many safeguards, but an open door is an open door. And I don't like that, right? And the thought of years ago, I remember going through and doing, it's fuzzy, doing something, dealing with the aftermath, but I don't remember actually doing it. You know, I don't know if I was momentarily taken over or what, and it was not pleasant. And it was traumatic afterwards. And I had to deal with it. I was a little kid, so it wasn't that bad, really. But to a little kid, it was that bad. And okay, so channeling is where I don't want to give up my facilities to something else, some other ghost that needs a meat mech to drive around in. No. No. Well, you can talk to me, you can do other things, but you don't get to drive this, right? And okay, we can discuss this stuff in the panel. This is a great topic. Let's keep it nice, right? Because these things make people angry. I'm not saying that we can't deal with it, but it's the quantum realm. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is a certain group of people, right? And the one thing, they have a physical feature: ice blue eyes. I don't mean blue eyes. I don't mean, gray. I mean ice blue. I've heard people call them that have the eyes of an angel. Well, let me tell you, they can't handle it. Whatever kind of quantum link or touch of holiness they got, they cannot handle it, because those have been the most conniving, backstabbing, evil people I've ever met. Right? And a lot of times they don't remember it. I don't know. Eyes, windows to the soul, also windows to the brain, right? These are technically part of your brain, part of your actual brain. Your nervous system, part of your brain. Okay. So there was a guy, I don't even remember his name, and I think I blocked him out. But he came from, Joe, you'll remember this story. He came from Mexico. He had gotten scarlet fever, and he was in a homeless shelter, and I was helping him fix his computer. He tried to move in. He tried to get me to do stuff, and he was very charismatic. Very charismatic. Joe, I know you remember this guy. I don't remember his name. I don't need to know his name. I don't need nothing. I don't need to know anything about this guy, because he tried to move into my house, and he was very charismatic. But luckily, and he made it sound like it was a good thing. It was a great thing. He should move into my house. That was what he said to me. And part of me said yes, because those blue eyes are piercing. And I've seen, that's one instance, right? This happened that time. That's one instance. And there's this other person, half Korean woman. Typical Korean features with freckles, because she was Irish also. Well, she had brown eyes, typical brown eyes, until they turned ice blue. That is a big, big jump of color spectrum, okay? That is not green to blue green or something like that, right? It's not like that. Or blue to blue-green, or that's not that. This is brown eyes to ice blue. It was crazy to look at, and every time that happened, she got very mean, very angry. And I would love for someone to tell me a physical condition that causes someone's all the time brown eyes to turn ice blue. I've never seen it outside of one of these people who, I don't know if they're schizophrenic. I don't know if they're possessed. I don't know anything, but I get there's two feelings from these guys that I've noticed. You love them, or you're scared shitless of them, right? And there seems to be no in between unless you're just not paying attention. You either love them because of the way they talk to you and they're so nice and charismatic, or you're scared to death of them because they have the craziest blue eyes and the most piercing gaze that seem to be able to see through you. Okay, beware. Yeah, and we are at 56 minutes, 4 whole minutes. Okay. Yeah, and I mean, I don't mean blue eyes, right? I don't mean blue, right? Not blue, ice blue, where they're semi-transparent, and people would call them eyes of an angel. If those are angels, then that person does not have the hardware to deal with that kind of connection, because it makes them just dark side so much. Okay. Alrighty then. Well, green is okay. Hey, Bang Gold. Now I'm looking over here, right? And, oh, you mean Raven. That would be Raven. Yeah. And I don't remember. I haven't talked to her. We've only sent a couple of links. Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I remember that, but he's not. No, he had something going on. I do remember him, but he wasn't like the person I'm talking about. And let's see. Okay, I'm just looking. Hey, Samantha Morris the cat has come back. Hey, Samantha. I'm sorry I didn't say hi. I was avoiding the chat because I needed to get that out, stay focused, and make the point. I hope everyone can see where I was going, right? And see why I went there, because would be an educational show. This is the things you do not do. You don't need to know why. You don't need to know why not to do it, right? Just know that some of these things are the worst things you could do in reality, okay? Especially necromancy. Oh man. People oh man, I've seen people wither away. I've seen people wither away from using this stuff. And it just drains you because you do not, right? And it will follow you. How do I know this? You know what? I don't study it. I don't practice it. I know, do what I say. What I say at the beginning of the show. This is the stuff. Do not cross. You just don't go there. You don't need to know why, because if you go there, you won't be around to tell anybody, because you'll either be corrupted or so far out of touch that you can't communicate what you found, right? So do not cross. Do not go there. Don't study it. Don't look it up. Don't check out a book. If it comes up, note, okay, move on, right? Because, I mean, this is not those things, those top two, right? Demonology, necromancy. Do not go anywhere near them, all right? In practice, we can discuss anything. But we're not going to try to prove something. I'm not gonna. And you will be shielded against if you try to, right? By me. And any practitioners of any kind of spiritual, mystical, paranormal stuff will likely say, nope, I'm out, and never talk to you again, because that's just how you get a glimpse of it. You don't need no more, right? If you get a glimpse of this stuff, you are through, and you realize, I don't want none of that. It goes and it makes your stomach like the ultimate fear response. Okay, I'm not talking about just like hair on your arms. I'm talking about all your body will react. It's like uh so I just wanted to, this show needed to happen. It's important because you can find interesting things in all of these topics, right? But let the wisdom of other people help you out here. Okay, don't go there. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but these things will ruin you. These will ruin you, if not just kill you. And that's all I got for this one, y'all. We will continue with the panel. Like and subscribe. Did the button light up? I don't know yet. I'll have to go back and watch the replay. Yeah, coffee time. Whoo, man, I do not like talking about these topics, especially at length, because I am not summoning anything. I am not evoking anything. That is not my intention. My intention is to say, stay away. Do not cross. Alrighty then. Yeah, promote healing, protection, and positivity. Damn straight. Okay. Come to the panel and tell me what you're talking about. I would like to know. Alrighty then, everybody. This has been the first hour. Quantum solo. No guest today. That's okay. May have somebody next week. Don't know. I might have standalone videos. I don't know. Maybe not alive. But who knows? Hope you enjoyed it. Whew. Man, these topics rev me up and get me pissed off at the same time, right? Two frequencies interacting. Thank you, Tim Stafford. I appreciate it. And I will talk to y'all in a bit. And Diane, you said it right. You called it pushing buttons.